Now, in addition to songwriting, you guys both are producers, and you've produced a ton of stuff. How do you go about the production when you're hired as a producer? What's your job?
Well, different producers
your
have different
responsibility? Yeah.
producers have different things to bring to a situation. When I was doing a lot of record production, it was a very different world than it is now.
Yeah.
A record producer, most record producers now are record producers because they own their own studio. They can operate Pro Tools and play a variety of instruments because there aren't the big budgets that were. In other words, getting hired just for your opinion. Very few people get hired just for their opinion anymore.
Yeah.
Now, with me, when I was a producer, I was a nuts and bolts kind of individual. I know how to arrange music, put music together, and that's what I was good at. Parts. This part with this part. This, add this hook, do it,
Right.
and that kind of stuff. And that's mainly what I was interested in. Some producers are caring nurturers and know how to create a mood and a vibe, and some producers are engineers and can get great sound, and that's also really necessary for certain bands, is that the sound is right. So everybody has a different approach and brings a different element to the program.
Yeah, it's an elusive job description, I think. And every artist who asks a producer to work with him, I think it could be an entirely different set of parameters and reasons, as Danny is saying.
Yeah.
And the producer's job could be as simply as, well, here's a guy who's produced these great records.
Right.
Like, and then James Taylor or Jackson Browne or whatever walks in the room, and it's like, you're probably not going to say too much. You're probably going to just, when do you guys want to eat?
Work a dial
and then just kind of be a voyeur a little bit and make sure everything's running smoothly. Hey, this is enough. Let's take a break.
Yeah.
And some people will be like so integral, like a George Martin or something, with the Beatles or something. So I think it's such a wide gamut.
Yeah. What have the two of you been involved in the last 4 or 5 years, besides this little project?
Well,
I mean, the whole history of you guys is phenomenal. Carole King, James Taylor, Don Henley, Age of Innocence. Oh my God, what a great record! Oh, and just all these people who you've played with, and then of course Jeff, Crosby, Stills and Nash, CPR, with that, Mark Cohen, James Taylor too, and Joe Cocker. So I mean, you guys, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, you've worked with zillions of them. What have you been doing in the last 4 or 5 years?
Well, several different things. I do a lot of projects with my buddy Steve Jordan.
Oh yeah.
So I got to play in the house band for Lightning in a Bottle, which is the Martin Scorsese documentary blues concert. And did a few films with Steve. There was another one called Make It Funky, which was a New Orleans thing.
Okay.
It was Steve and I and Willie Weeks and Art Neville on keys and Ivan Neville.
Yeah.
And then we did, just last year I did the Hubert Sumlin, Howlin' for Hubert. I was in the house band on that.
House band.
Again with Willie Weeks and Larry Taylor and Steve and Jim Kellner and just a whole raft of great
cool.
people. Yeah. And then also I did the James Taylor Carole King tour, the Troubadour Reunion tour 2 years ago. Yeah. I was in the band for that.
Neat.
And I also play with cats up in Connecticut. I also play with a band in New York.
Yeah.
Playing my own material and other people's material, and I'm writing all the time. Written 4 or 5 new tunes in the last. I'm not real prolific, but they're good.
Yeah.
The tunes are good.
Yeah.
And geez, what else? I don't know.
Just
blur,
that sounds like enough. And raising a family.
Absolutely, yes.
So many things come in and out. It's like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
A very interesting opportunity came up for me. I had subbed for the guitar player in Jefferson Starship, and they were doing this Heroes of Woodstock reunion tour.
Oh yeah,
and they did ask Jack Cassidy to see if he would be willing to play bass, and Jack is busy with Europe and doing Hot Tuna.
Yeah.
So I got asked to play bass on the tour, which was really fun, and it was a combination tour of a number of the bands, Canned Heat and 10 Years After, and let's see, there was a bunch of them. Anyway, it was a really fun opportunity to tour playing bass. In the last 3 years or so, I've reconnected with Rickie Lee Jones. Yeah. She ended up doing a 20-year anniversary tour of her first 2 records, and we did that with a large band. And now we're doing some touring in a very intimate ensemble with her, myself, and a cellist.
Wow.
And on that tour, I'm playing mandolin, guitar, organ, dobro. Yeah. So that's really fun. And she is, to me, one of the most amazing singer-songwriters. I mean, she's just tapped in, you know, like a Ray Charles.
Yeah,
She's just an open nerve. I got asked to score a movie recently, and I played all the instruments on a movie score for this guy named Scott Bloom, and he had a movie called Walk-In, which is a very fun project. It's something that I've always wanted to do.
Sure.
And I recently got asked to do this beautiful movie for a fantastic photographer. His name is John Weller, W-E-L-L-E-R. And he is a activist. He's trying to save the last ocean from being overfished. And he's been going down to Antarctica for the last 8 or 9 years, taking glorious photos. And I was asked to put this movie together, put music together for this movie that he's doing in support of that, going to the governments that all exist down there, trying to appeal to them to save this planet, you know, because it is the ecological balance. And then, of course, this movie that this record that I was telling you about, it's called From the Core.
Cool. Yeah.
My website, pevar.com, has it available, and it's just been out about 3 weeks. I've sold a ton of them, and I have to say, it feels like an entirely new coming of age, if you will, into my career, to be as not just a side man, not just a guy who, you know, helps produce, but creating my own record. So I'm very, very excited about that, and I am committing to myself that this is the first. I'm going to do at least 1 CD a year from now on in. That's my new.
What agreement. You know, it's funny. I was going to say, what do you work hardest at now? But it's like you guys are working at everything: songwriting, producing, film work. You know, it's
fun.
Very cool.
You're using different muscles.
Yeah,
you know, there's something to be said if you're just a one-trick pony. Which there's nothing wrong with that. You know, for me, I love playing all different styles. I love playing lots of different instruments. I love playing in all different types of combinations of musicians. I'm still that student.
And that
the kid who left high school is in class every day with all these different musicians that I get a chance to play with. And that's the kind of school I want to be in.
That's very cool. That's a great place to end. Is the guitar the new? I mean, is it the new instrument of this millennium? Is it? How do I mean to say that? Has it become the instrument that people will look back on and say, the guitar was the instrument of this particular time period? You know, in the way that we might look back on a piano and say, oh, the piano was...
Yeah, perhaps that's true, because of folk music, the guitar is very social. And one of the main things about guitar is the sitting around the campfire and singing songs together. There's that aspect of it. For me, the Beatles really wrote the book on guitar. Because the Beatles were basically an R&B cover band that that translated R&B and soul music to a guitar combo, to two guitars, bass, and drum. So a lot of music got distilled into a guitar kind of concept. But it's hard to say an overriding statement like, you know, it's the instrument of a certain period of time. It's really hard to say that. As you know, a tremendous amount of music is being made on computers and laptops now. And you know, it's also exciting and innovative and terrific. And so there's no one way of looking at things. I think there'll always be people drawn to the guitar. Like I said, partly because of its social.
That's right.
Because of in a social context. And because it's so much fun. It looks cool. Chicks dig it.
Chicks dig it.
Need we say more?
No, I know.
So there's always that.
The Beatles on Ed Sullivan. I went out and got a guitar and started learning Peter, Paul, and Mary, and Phil Oakes, and you know, whatever.
We're very fortunate that we grew up. We were exposed to music that we did, because it was a cultural revolution. It was a musical revolution. It was everything was happening at once. So I'm very thankful of the timing of when I have been here, and to see how it's, you know, there was a kid named Ryan who came to sit in with me last night. He's 16 and he's playing like a 45-year-old master. I mean, it's insane. And fortunately for kids who are aspiring, you know, to find information, it's all right there.
It's all right there.
They can get it, so they can emulate the greatest guitar players in the world who are on their computer screen, and they can create their own lessons and even get lessons online. So
that's right.
It's an exciting time to be alive. It's an
Yeah.
exciting thing to be able to incorporate the old school stuff that we gravitated towards and implement some of this technology and kind of mix it all up in the pot.
Yeah, I guess if you're willing to embrace the technology, it is an exciting time, you know, for new music to be created out
Yes,
there,
it
and,
is.
and new directions, and
Yep.
Well, thank you very much, guys. I really
Thank you,
appreciate it.
Pleasure.
Once again, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Art Tipaldi, and this is Don Odells Legends. Thank you.